Welcome to Biology My Passion. I am Soumya Harikrishna. We are learning the chapter Breathing and Exchange of Gases. We learned about the human respiratory system and also pulmonary volumes and capacities. Today we will learn the next stage, that is breathing. We learned the inspiration and the expiration. How is it happening? What is the next stage? Gaseous exchange. After gaseous exchange at the alveoli, the blood will transport all the gases to the tissues. There the second exchange will happen. Then the carbon dioxide will be transported back. All these aspects we will learn now. Only cellular respiration, that is what is happening inside the cells, we are not studying in this chapter. Okay, so there are first site of exchange of gases is the alveoli. So alveoli are known as the primary gas exchange site, because if I am inhaling the air, inhalation, the air is going through my conducting part of the respiratory system and finally it is reaching or filling inside the alveolus. On the surface of alveolus, what is there? Our blood vessels. So oxygen will go to the blood, and from the blood carbon dioxide will come and fill in the alveoli and it will be exhaled out. What is the process facilitating this? Nothing but simple diffusion. What is diffusion? Movement of molecules from a region of its higher concentration to a region of its lower concentration. When we are inhaling, naturally the oxygen is rich in the atmospheric air, but blood has less oxygen. So oxygen from the alveolar air will go to the blood, that is diffuse into the blood. The same way, carbon dioxide is more in the blood than in the alveolar air. So carbon dioxide will diffuse inside the alveoli so that we can exhale it out. Okay. So there are different factors affecting this rate of diffusion happening in the alveoli. That is, first is the solubility of gases. We know that oxygen and carbon dioxide are the chief gases being exchanged. In this, if you look at the solubility, oxygen has comparatively less solubility than carbon dioxide. Carbon dioxide has actually 20 to 25 times more solubility than oxygen. What is the significance of solubility? Because it is transported through the blood. Blood has plasma in it. Plasma has water in it, right? So if it is soluble, means it can be taken very easily in a dissolved form. Next is about the pressure or concentration gradient. What is the meaning of gradient? Gradient means difference. So when there is a difference in the pressure or when there is a difference in the concentration of gases, there will be exchange, always from higher level to lower level. Here we are using a term partial pressure of oxygen. What is meant by partial pressure? The pressure of an individual gas in a mixture of gases is called a partial pressure. For example, air. Air is a combination of different gases. It has nitrogen in it, oxygen in it, carbon dioxide, argon, all these are there. But what is the pressure of oxygen in that mixture of gases? That is called a partial pressure of oxygen. I will give you an example. Suppose your teacher is giving you a group activity in the class. Okay, so you are supposed to present a topic on the given topic. Imagine you are making different resources for that, and different members are contributing differently. One person may be in charge of collecting the resources or the learning material. So another person is collecting or making a chart based on that. Another person is making a PowerPoint presentation based on the topic. And a third person is, next person is the one who is doing the presentation or it is delivered to the class. So different people have different contribution, right? Though in a mixture of gases. Suppose you are the one doing a particular task here, then what is your role in that group? That is the way we are calling as the partial pressure. Okay, so here we are talking about a partial pressure of oxygen and partial pressure of carbon dioxide. Always the movement will be from high partial pressure to low partial pressure. It is calculated based on the atmospheric pressure. Now, thickness of the membrane involved. Whenever the gas is moving from alveoli to blood vessels or from blood vessels to tissues, it has to cross different layers. So if the thickness is more, diffusion is less. So the membrane should be as thin as possible. So these are the different factors affecting the diffusion rate of different gases. Now let's see how this exchange is happening. So we know that once we are inhaling, the air containing oxygen, we are not taking oxygen alone, air containing oxygen is taken inside our respiratory tract. Through the conducting part, it goes to the alveoli. That's inhalation. Now I am drawing alveoli here. Okay. and outside alveoli what is there? Our blood vessel. Okay, now inside the alveoli, the partial pressure of oxygen we will talk about. In the atmosphere, the pressure is 760 millimeter of mercury. So 21% is the concentration of oxygen in the mixture of gases. So if you calculate, you will get 159 millimeter of mercury is the partial pressure of oxygen in that mixture of gases. So inside it is less. So naturally the air will come inside, and inside the alveoli the partial pressure becomes 104 millimeter per mercury, because we cannot expect the same concentration like outside. In the alveoli it is 104 millimeter per mercury. But here the blood is lacking the oxygen. So now at present I am now only talking about oxygen first, then later we will consider the carbon dioxide. So now the PO2 in the blood is only 40 millimeter of mercury, because it is deoxygenated blood, right? As a result, what happens? From high concentration, oxygen will come to the lower concentration. That is, it will diffuse through the alveolar membrane, through the wall of the blood vessel, and comes inside. Now this part is the oxygenated blood. Who will carry the oxygen now? Hemoglobin will carry the oxygen, but first it will go to the heart. So we know that heart has 4 chambers. This will be the pulmonary vein. Pulmonary vein. This is the only vein carrying oxygenated blood. So the pulmonary vein will be bringing it to the left atrium. Now it will go down to the left ventricle. From here, what will happen? The blood vessel called a systemic artery will take it to the tissues. So I am drawing the cells of the tissues here. Okay. Now their oxygen is reaching here. But once the 104 came into this 40, now the oxygen concentration of PO2 is 95 millimeter of mercury. But in the tissues, what is it? Only 40 millimeter of mercury. So from 95, it will jump into the tissues, because from higher concentration to lower concentration. So this is how the oxygen transport is happening. That is, initially outside atmosphere 159, so it will be inhaled inside. Inside the alveoli it is 104. In the deoxygenated blood it is only 40. So the oxygen will diffuse into the blood, making it oxygenated blood. Now oxygenated blood will be coming through the pulmonary vein to the atrium. From the ventricle it will be pumped through the systemic artery to the tissues. Now this is oxygenated blood, so the partial pressure of oxygen is 95. So tissues have less, only 40, it will jump into the tissues. At the same time, who is waiting here in the tissues? Carbon dioxide is waiting. The partial pressure of carbon dioxide is 45 here. But in the blood, it is oxygenated blood, right? So it is only 40 millimeter of mercury. So naturally from 45, it will come to 40. So now it becomes deoxygenated blood, or carbon dioxide rich blood, or venous blood we say. Now it will go up through the systemic vein, and systemic vein consists of deoxygenated blood or carbon dioxide rich blood. So its value is 45 millimeter of Hg, because it was 40 before. When 45 from here it diffused, increasing it to 45. Now this is coming here to the joining with the vena cava and enters into the right atrium. From the left atrium, it will be going and joining here, right? Now here it is 45 partial pressure of carbon dioxide in the systemic, this is the, here is the pulmonary artery, only artery carrying deoxygenated blood. So the partial pressure of carbon dioxide is 45. Now it will diffuse here. Partial pressure of carbon dioxide is 40 mm of Hg. So this is how in the alveolar region oxygen will enter into the blood, due to difference in the pressure gradient, and also depends upon the solubility, but solubility determines in which way it is transported through the blood, that we will learn later. And after reaching here, according to partial pressure of oxygen gradient, from blood oxygen will go to the tissues, and from tissues carbon dioxide will come to the blood, and in the lungs carbon dioxide will go to the alveolus, and from alveolus oxygen will be exchanged with the blood. So this is how exchange happening, two sides of exchange. One is between alveolus and the blood, and second between blood and the tissues. So in your textbook, this table is given. From oxygen you can see from the left to right, and the carbon dioxide you see from the order right to left. We will now discuss the membranes through which the blood has to pass while exchange is happening. That is, when it is going from alveolus to blood capillary, which all layers it has to pass. So if I draw the first, the alveolus enlarged here, alveolus has got epithelial cells. It's a thin squamous layer of epithelium, or simple squamous epithelium. So this is epithelium of alveolus. Alveolus is singular, alveoli plural. Okay. Now around this there is a basement substance or a base substance which is actually protecting, or it is keeping it adhere to the next surface. Okay. Now we have the blood vessel. This is a pulmonary capillary. This also has got squamous epithelial layer. This is called endothelium. This is one blood capillary we are showing, which has got RBC in it. Okay, so this is the endothelium of the blood capillary. Here also, what is there? The basement substance is there. Okay, your textbook has shown fully, but here some connective tissues are also there. Now, each one has a nucleus because these are all cells. So the air has to pass from the alveolus. First it has to cross the epithelium of the alveoli. Then it has to pass the basement substance. Then it has to cross the third layer, endothelium of blood vessel, to reach the blood inside the blood capillary. So three layers, which are the epithelium of alveolus, basement substance between them, and endothelium of the blood vessel. All three together, the thickness is less than a millimeter, because as thin as possible it should be for facilitating simple diffusion. Now, when we talk about this alveolar membrane, in the NCERT they are mentioning about only this type 1 membrane, but inside there is a fluid. To make it a moist one, which increases the ability of the gases to stick to it and transfer can happen. And there are certain surfactants present here. The surfactants usually help in reducing the surface tension, thereby preventing the alveoli from collapsing during exhalation. So type 2 membrane is producing the surfactants. Now let's see what are the characteristics of a diffusing membrane. First, it should be as thin as possible, as we told, altogether less than a millimeter, so that diffusion can happen easily. It should be moist, there is a fluid layer keeping it moist. Increased surface area, you know, each lung has got around 300 million alveoli in it, so increased surface area. It is always compared that if you spread out the alveolar surface area, it is similar to that of a tennis court. Then it should have high vascularization, means a lot of blood vessels should be there, because the gas is exchanged between alveolus and the blood vessel. Hope you understood the concepts of exchange of gases, partial pressure, what are the factors affecting diffusion, and how exchange is happening based on partial pressure and the exchange membrane. If you find it useful, please like, share and subscribe to my channel, Biology My Passion. Thank you for watching.